The day I buried my mother, I watched my brother whisper to the lawyer by the casket. He didn't look like a grieving son. He looked like a man negotiating. My name is Rachel Pierce, 30 years old, junior accountant from Flagstaff, Arizona. I was the one who stayed, who handled the pills, the oxygen tanks, the night calls when mom couldn't breathe. My brother Mark handled the paperwork. When the funeral ended, I noticed him slide a cream envelope into his coat pocket. The embossed seal looked expensive. Our mother's estate was modest, a 2-bedroom house, a savings account, and her piano, but she had always said, "It'll go 50-50, sweetheart. Fair is all I ever want." That night, while guests brought casseroles, Mark sat at the kitchen table with the lawyer, Mr. Langford, whispering again. The words drifted just enough. "Make sure she doesn't see the 2019 document until after filing. She'll fight it." I froze by the doorway, the smell of lilies turning sour in my throat. 2019? Mom's last will had been signed in 2017, the year she was still well enough to drive herself to church. In 2019, she could barely hold a pen. I didn't say a word. You learn in finance that silence is a form of data collection. I just started watching. Mark played the perfect host, pouring wine, hugging relatives, telling stories about how strong mom was to the end. I nodded, smiled, helped clear dishes, like I hadn't just heard him rewrite her history with a single sentence. Later, when everyone left, I checked mom's desk. The top drawer was empty except for her rosary and a receipt for document notarization dated March 2019, not by her bank. A private mobile notary from Phoenix. My stomach dropped. Mark walked in, pretending surprise. "What are you doing?" "Looking for her medication lists." I lied. He shrugged. "You don't need to dig through old paperwork. I already handled it." He always said handled it the way a magician says abracadabra, and something disappeared every time. The next morning, Mr. Langford called. His tone was practiced. "Rachel, your mother's will states that the property and remaining assets transfer solely to your brother for the purpose of maintaining family stability." I almost laughed. "Family stability?" I repeated. "It was her wish," he said carefully. When the call ended, I sat in mom's chair staring at the piano keys, their yellowed tops reflecting my face in broken pieces. I didn't cry, not yet, because inside that grief, something else sparked, a question sharper than loss. If mom trusted Mark with her estate, why had she once told me, "If anything happens, the folder's in my drawer, blue label equity. Don't let anyone change it." The drawer was empty now, but the house still smelled like her lavender lotion, and I swear it carried a whisper. "Find the real one." That night, I opened my laptop. Search bar, county records. Probate archives. I didn't know then that a single PDF could burn down a lie built over years, but I was about to learn how families rewrite history and how paper can write it back. The will reading took place 3 days later in Mr. Langford's office, a beige room that smelled like old carpet and legal ink. Mark wore a navy suit, same one from the funeral, but now he looked lighter, freer. He had that grin that comes when someone already knows the outcome. "Let's begin," Mr. Langford said, unfolding the document with careful ceremony. The last will and testament of Helen Pierce, dated March 14th, 2019. I leaned forward. "That's not the right year." Mark didn't even glance at me. "It's the updated one. Mom wanted things streamlined." Langford continued reading. "All real and liquid assets, including the residence at 112 Willow Lane, are to be transferred to my son, Mark Pierce, for the purpose of maintaining household and family obligations." My name didn't appear again until the very last line. "To my daughter, Rachel Pierce, I leave my upright piano in remembrance of our shared music." The same piano Mom and I played hymns on, while she coughed between verses. My throat closed. "That's impossible," I said quietly. Mom never mentioned rewriting it. She could barely hold a pen in 2019. Mark slid a stack of notarized pages across the table. "Signed and witnessed," he said. "Don't embarrass yourself." I stared at the signature, smooth, steady cursive. My mother's hand had trembled by then. The stroke on the H looked practiced, not aged. "You forged this," I said before I could stop myself. Mark laughed. "Oh, please. You're the one with imagination issues. You've always needed drama to feel important. Mr. Langford coughed. Rachel, unless you have evidence of misconduct, this document is presumed valid under state law. Evidence takes time, I replied, and I have time. The look Mark gave me was almost pity. You have nothing, Rachel. You lived off Mom's care stipend for 2 years. The house is in my name now. Maybe it's time you grow up and move on. His tone flipped a switch inside me. All those nights bathing Mom, recording medication logs, paying bills from her joint account while he sent postcards from business trips. Suddenly, it all felt like unpaid labor. I stood up so fast the chair hit the wall. You stole from her before she was even cold. Sit down, he snapped. This is legal business, not therapy. Rage burned through the grief. Legal business doesn't hide envelopes at funerals. He froze for half a second, just long enough. Then he forced a smirk. You heard wrong. Langford tried to intervene. Please, both of you? No, I cut him off. Read me the notary's name. He hesitated. Laura Mendez, mobile notary, Phoenix. Phoenix, 90 miles away. Mom hadn't left town that year, not once. I collected the papers, scanned the embossed seal, and memorized the notary ID. Mark reached to stop me. You don't get to walk out with my property. I looked him straight in the eye. Then call the police. We'll compare handwriting in front of them. He didn't. Outside, the desert air hit me like heat from an open oven. I walked until my shoes filled with dust. My hands shook, not from fear but from clarity. That night, I checked Mom's old emails. Her sent folder was small, mostly church newsletters. But one message caught my eye. Subject, renewal appointment with Laura Mendez, LLC. Attached, a scanned signature request, dated 1 week after Mom was hospitalized. My chest tightened. She hadn't been conscious that day. I printed every file and pinned them to my wall in order. Dates, names, notarizations. It looked like a crime scene built out of fonts and ink. Then, as if on cue, my phone buzzed. Mark again. Rachel, stop digging. You'll regret this. I typed back one line. Some debts aren't financial, Mark. Some are moral. And I'm collecting. I didn't go home after the will reading. I drove until the mountains turned violet, then parked outside a laundromat. New file, evidence, will. Notary, emails, handwriting, witness. I snapped photos of the notarized pages, wrote down the ID number, and emailed backups. If Mark wanted silence, I'd answer with a paper trail. By morning, isolation arrived dressed as concern. Aunt Denise left a voicemail about being gracious. A cousin tagged me on Facebook. Don't attack your brother during grief. Rachel always needed attention. I took screenshots, filed them under noise, then turned off notifications. The quiet felt like standing in snow, soft, cold, dangerous. At the house, the locks had changed. A taped note on the door. Coordinate visits through Mark. The piano bench I was gifted sat just inside the window like a joke. I texted, I'll collect it when the estate is settled. He replied, estate is settled. I moved into Tasha's spare room. She handed me a key. Don't burn out proving you're right. Truth doesn't tire, people do. Mr. Langford emailed a courtesy reminder that contesting a will is expensive and futile. I replied, please provide the full notary certificate and the original signature card. Hours later, his assistant sent a low-resolution scan that made Mom's pen strokes look too smooth, like someone ironed tremors flat. Whispering spread like email. My manager asked if I needed time off. I need a copier, I said. He stopped. James rolled over. Your brother is posting quotes about family duty. You want me to stop looking? Keep looking, I said, and screenshot everything. That night, I called the number on the notary receipt. A recorded voice said the mailbox was full. Tried again from Tasha's phone, same result. I wrote a list. 1. County records room. 2. Hospital admission logs. 3. Church witnesses. 4. Handwriting analyst. 5. Laura Mendez. Find a live number. Sunday. Mrs. Alvarez hugged me. Mark told us you're overwhelmed, she whispered. I'm organized. She flushed and offered a casserole I didn't take. The foyer smelled like rumor. Sweet, sour, hard to wash out. That afternoon, Mark's wife posted a photo of him polishing Mom's piano, keeping her legacy alive. Comments bloomed. Heart emojis. Praise for a son who stepped up. I saved every pixel. At dusk, I stood outside 112 Willow Lane and watched the curtains breathe. I imagined Mom behind them, tapping columns with a pencil. She would have hated a fight. She would have hated a lie more. Back at Tasha's, I built a binder labeled Proof. Sleeves, tabs, chronology, pages dated. In the front pocket, I slid a printed copy of Mom's 2017 will, the last version I had seen, with 2 church witnesses' names I recognized. I wrote a single line under the list. If the truth is buried, check the county. I blocked Mark. I blocked his friends. My phone went still. In the new silence, I heard my pulse and a metronome I trusted. Deadline, statute, record, sign. When sleep came, it was filled with drawers opening and closing, stamps hitting paper. A bell somewhere in a building I hadn't entered yet. I woke before dawn, knowing where to go next. The records room that remembers what families want to forget. I brought a new pen, dot now. The records room sat in the courthouse basement, cool and quieter than a chapel. A clerk slid a clipboard toward me. Purpose? Probate for Helen Pierce, I said. Alternate wills, any codicils before 2019. He checked a terminal, pointed to a row of drawers. Index ledgers are there. Microfilm to the right. 10-minute limit if there's a line. I pulled the drawer stamped PQ. Inside, cards wore dust like makeup. I traced the Pierce column. 2015, 2017, 2019. Abstract only. And a note. See file J142. The word supplemental buzzed like a neon sign. I requested J142. The clerk returned with a slim folder bound by a red string. Inside, a scanned 2017 will, the one I remembered, plus 2 affidavits from Gloria S. and Reverend Kyle. At the back, a stamp, received but never recorded. A sticky note read, awaiting updated copy from counsel, dated April 2019, 1 week after Mom's hospital stay. My pulse quickened. I took photos, paid for certified copies, and asked for film of March-April 2019. There, in grainy frames, sat a photo of Laura Mendez, mobile notary on a batch log. A margin memo. Suspended 5/2019's pending investigation. On the steps, I called Rosa, a blogger with more readers. I have documents and dates, I said. She met me and listened as I laid out the timeline. We can't accuse, she said. We can ask in public. We filmed a 2-minute explainer. No adjectives, just dates, seals, names. I ended with, if a signature looks younger than the hand that wrote it, ask who benefits. Rosa scheduled the post for the evening rush. Then we knocked on Gloria's door. She opened with a cane, cautious. I signed Helen's will in 2017, she said. We had lemonade after church. She told me, fair is half, even when forgiveness is hard. I'll put that in writing if I must. She did. A short statement with the date and her careful script. Her neighbor, a nurse, signed as witness. In the lot, my phone lit up. Mark had posted a photo in front of the house with a caption, Legacy secured. Comments bloomed. Proud of you, true son. Rosa arched a brow. Let the algorithm meet a paper cut. At 6, her clip went live. Within minutes, the group erupted. A councilman asked, was a 2019 codicil properly recorded? Tom, a retired bank manager, replied, the county index shows a supplemental file tied to 2017. Someone should ask why it was never processed. Another neighbor, Laura Mendez, lost her notary commission last year. Links appeared, then counterclaims, then more. Public drama had a pulse, and it beat. Mark texted, take that down. Defamation. I replied, dates and stamps aren't opinions. He typed 3 dots, then went silent. That night, I assembled Binder D, public, certified copies, the microfilm printout, Gloria's affidavit, a screenshot of the post, and a draft email to Mr. Langford demanding the original wet ink will within 5 business days. I CC'd Rosa and attached a single-page timeline for press. Rosa, let's add a witness with no family ties. We drove to Reverend Kyle's parsonage. He read Gloria's statement, then nodded. I remember that Sunday, he said softly. Helen cried when she signed. She said fairness would be our choir when she couldn't sing. He wrote a brief attestation and let Rosa quote him. By morning, the barista slid me my coffee on the house. For the woman who brings receipts, she whispered. My email pinged. County records. Your certified copies are ready for pickup. Another ping. Laura Mendez's former office. No comment. Finally, Mr. Langford wrote, "We advise you to cease public commentary. The estate plan stands." I hit reply and attached the stamped 2017 will, plus the memo about the suspended notary. Please confirm whether your office placed the April 2019 awaiting updated copy note. If so, provide the updated copy. I posted nothing more that day. The documents were speaking, people took sides. Outside, a flag rope slapped the pole, a metronome counting down to a confrontation none of us could postpone. The fallout came faster than even Rosa predicted. 2 mornings after the post went viral, a letter arrived from First State Bank of Arizona, addressed to Estate of Helen Pierce. Inside was a polite but alarming notice. Loan account ending 2278 has been temporarily suspended pending verification of property title. Loan account? Mom never borrowed a dime in her life. I called the number at the bottom. After a whole tone that sounded like a funeral march, a woman answered. "This is compliance. How can I help?" "I just received a notice about a loan tied to my late mother's estate," I said. "Who opened it?" "One moment," keys clicked. "According to our records," she said, "the borrower is Mark Pierce. The property at 112 Willow Lane was listed as collateral. Amount $120,000. Disbursed April 2022. I gripped the counter. My mother died in March 2022. Silence stretched. "I see," she said finally. "Then we'll need to freeze funds until documentation clears. May I email you the lien form?" Minutes later, my inbox lit up with the PDF. The signature under Authorized Heir was identical to the forged 2019 will. Same pen flow, same fake flourish. The date was 10 days after the funeral. I forwarded everything to Rosa. She called immediately. "Rachel, that's bank fraud. We're not just talking inheritance now. We're talking criminal code." "I'm not calling the police yet," I said. "I'm calling the bank manager." The branch manager, Tom Greer, turned out to be the same retired banker who had commented under Rosa's post. He invited me to meet in his office. "Bring every document you have," he said. Tom examined the stack, certified copies, notary suspension notice, and the lien PDF. "He pledged the house as security for a personal loan," he said. "If the will's invalid, so is this lien. But until a court says otherwise, we're frozen." "How long does that take?" He sighed. "Weeks, sometimes months." Rosa recorded a statement for the article's follow-up. A suspended notary, a frozen loan, and a daughter refusing to fold. By that afternoon, 3 news outlets had emailed me. One headline preview read, "Forgery or family feud, the Pierce estate scandal deepens." Mark texted at 5:42 p.m. "You have no idea what you've done." I replied, "Actually, I do. I just checked the bank ledger." 10 minutes later, he called. His voice shook between fury and panic. "Do you think embarrassing me online fixes anything?" "Fixes, no," I said. "Exposes, yes. You're destroying the family name. Mom already built that name. You just borrowed against it." He hung up. At dusk, the sheriff's office left a voicemail. "We've received inquiries from the bank regarding possible misrepresentation of estate ownership. We'd like a statement." That was the moment I realized the story had outgrown me. It wasn't a sibling dispute anymore. It was a paper fire moving through official channels. Tasha watched me pace. "You okay?" "I'm tired," I said, but tired isn't the same as done. That night, I gathered every file into labeled folders, A through E, and set up a timeline board across Tasha's kitchen wall. Arrows, receipts, call logs. In the middle, I pinned the new headline from the online news site, April 2019. Forged will March 2022. Death certificate, April 2022. Loan opened June 2022. Viral post underneath. I wrote one sentence in red marker. Debt always exposes intent. 2 days later, Rosa called. "You should see this." She sent a screenshot from the county's property portal. Lien pending review. Hold initiated by compliance debt. Tom confirmed. Bank's audit team wants sworn verification. If your proof holds, Mark's loan could default into investigation status. Translation, he might owe every cent personally. When I told Tasha, she exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. "That's the emergency," she said. "Not for me," I answered. "For him." I opened Mom's old ledger that night, the one where she'd written her grocery lists beside Bible verses. On the final page, she had scrawled a line I'd missed before. If it's not fair, it's not finished. I smiled. You were right, Mom. Then I wrote below it, next step, face him. Because once money changes from secret to evidence, the truth becomes payable on demand. Mark called again on a Thursday evening, the first ring since the bank freeze. Rachel, he said, voice tight, we need to meet. No lawyers, I said. Just you, me, and the truth. Fine, he snapped. Mom's house, tomorrow, 7. I told Rosa and Tom. They insisted on coming. Witnesses aren't optional when paper burns, Rosa said. The next evening, I parked outside 112 Willow Lane. The house looked wrong. Fresh paint, new curtains, a for sale sign half hidden behind the hedge. Inside, Mark stood by the piano like a politician at a podium. His wife hovered near the door, eyes red from crying or fear. I couldn't tell. You brought an audience? He said when Rosa and Tom followed me in. You brought alone, I replied. I set the binder on the piano bench and opened it. Certified pages gleamed under the lamp like court exhibits waiting for oxygen. Let's start simple, I said. Whose signature is this? He glanced down. Mom's. Wrong. That's a suspended notary's template copy. Her license was revoked in May 2019. Rosa held up her phone. You're on record saying Helen signed in March 2019. Hospital files show she was sedated that entire week. We verified the timestamp on the notary's submission. Want to explain that overlap? Mark's jaw clenched. You think social media makes you right? No, I said. The ledger does. I lifted Mom's original book, pages yellowed but intact. She logged her last legal document in 2017. Blue ink, her handwriting, 2 witnesses who've now signed affidavits. Tom laid his banker's folder beside mine. And the lien you filed with First State, using the 2019 will as proof of ownership, is frozen. The audit team wants your notarization trail by Monday. Mark's wife gasped. You said it was handled. It was supposed to be, he barked, spinning toward her. She was never supposed to. To what? I cut in. Check the county? Ask for fairness? He stepped closer, eyes wild. You don't understand pressure, Rachel. I had debts. The house was an asset. Temporary leverage. You leveraged our mother's death, I said. For a long moment, only the clock ticked. Rosa's camera light blinked, recording everything. Tom cleared his throat. If you want to salvage anything, confess before this hits the state board. Fraud with estate property is no small charge. Mark looked around the room like he could still talk his way out. You can't prove intent. Intent lives in timestamps, I said, sliding over the bankie's PDF, the email thread, the county receipt. You filed the lien 10 days after the funeral. You transferred title before probate closed. That's intent in ink. His shoulders sagged. You'd ruin your own brother? You did that yourself? Then Rosa spoke softly, almost kind. You can still tell the truth. Say it for the record. He stared at the piano keys, whispering something I couldn't hear. Finally, he muttered, Fine. I asked Laura to notarize it. She said it wasn't right. I paid extra. I just wanted things easier. Rosa stopped recording and exhaled. Tom wrote a note. I took the statement and placed it on top of the binder. Thank you, I said. Now it's complete. Mark's wife broke down. Rachel, please don't press charges. I'm not pressing, I said. The documents already are. Outside, police lights flashed down the street, called by a neighbor who'd heard shouting. A deputy approached as Rosa handed over the printed confession. I gave him the certified packet. Mark didn't resist when they asked him to come answer questions. His wife followed silently, clutching the piano bench like it could still play music for mercy. When the cruiser pulled away, the flag on the porch twisted in the wind. I stayed on the step, binder in hand, feeling the strange stillness that comes when a storm finally spends itself. Tom rested a hand on my shoulder. Proof beats pedigree, Rachel, every time. Rosa nodded. You didn't destroy a family. You documented what it already did to itself. I looked back at the window where the for sale sign leaned. Let them keep the paint, I said. The truth's already moving in. That night, I filed everything with the clerk's office. One envelope stamped, one life unburdened. And for the first time since the funeral, I slept. 2 weeks later, the county prosecutor called. Rachel Pierce? Yes. Your brother accepted a plea. False notarization and financial misrepresentation. No trial. 6 months suspended, repayment required. I thanked him, hung up, and sat in silence. The air smelled like paper and coffee, the two constants of this whole mess. Mom's house was back under probate, now fairly split. The piano stayed with me. Rosa's story had reached nearly 500,000 views. Tom's bank reinstated the freeze as evidence, and Laura Mendez's name was officially marked revoked in the notary database. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt tired. The kind of tired that sits deep in your chest after truth finally stops running. Mark wrote one letter from the county facility. No excuses, no manipulation, just 7 lines that ended with, "I understand now that fairness was love in numbers." I didn't reply. Some letters don't need answers. They just need to exist. At the courthouse, when the judge finalized the corrected will, she looked at me and said, "You understand you're entitled to half the estate." "I do," I said, "but I'd like the county to donate my half to the literacy fund in Mom's name." The clerk raised her brow. "All of it?" "All of it," I said. Mom taught people to read. That was her legacy, not a loan. Rosa caught me outside. "That's forgiveness," she said softly. "No," I replied. "That's closure." We stood on the courthouse steps, watching the afternoon sun hit the flag. The same sound of rope against metal, only now it didn't feel like countdown. It felt like measure, like rhythm returning to something honest. I thought of Mom's ledger, her handwriting neat, her columns even. She would have smiled at the final entry. Balance restored, and somewhere between grief and relief, I realized I hadn't just proven a forgery. I'd rewritten what family meant. A year later, spring returned to Willow Lane. The lilacs Mom planted had survived 2 coats of paint and 1 foreclosure notice. I drove past the house once, slow enough to see the curtains breathing again. New owners, new start. The for sale sign was gone, the same way her burden finally was. I live downtown now, in a small apartment over a used bookstore. Mornings start with the smell of paper and espresso, not court filings. On the wall above my desk hangs the first page of Mom's 2017 will, framed beneath the words, "Fair is half." Beneath it, I've taped one of her old grocery receipts with a single line she scribbled. "Don't forget the coffee and don't forget yourself." Every Friday, Rosa and I still meet for breakfast. Sometimes we talk about new stories, other families, other ledgers. Sometimes we just sit quiet. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked once. "No," I said. "I regret believing silence would keep peace." But truth built a kind of peace that lasts. Tom stopped by last month with news. The bank had closed the investigation. The house title officially restored under both heirs. Mark had completed his repayment and moved out of state to start over. He sent a small card, not asking forgiveness, just writing. "You were right to finish it." I placed it behind Mom's ledger, between 2 blank pages. At night, when the city lights flicker through my window, I open that ledger. The columns are still straight, the ink still blue. For the first time, I add a line of my own. Account settled. Not in dollars, but in dignity. People say revenge is loud. They're wrong. The real kind is steady. The sound of paperwork stamped, of truth aligning with proof, of a woman reclaiming her name one signature at a time. I'm not the sister who waited for fairness to arrive. I became the one who filed it myself. I stopped chasing apologies and started investing in peace. When I lock up the shop each evening, I whisper the words that ended every story Mom ever read aloud. And she lived honestly ever after, because I did. I chose honesty, I chose fairness, and finally, I chose me. What would you do if your own family tried to erase you on paper? Drop your story and subscribe Big Sister Revenge Stories.